Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi, and all the time you're going to hear me say that your budget decks come from your limited play. So today we're going to do a slightly different take on a premium draft for Foundations. And we're going to go through the draft, but instead of going through all the gameplay, we instead are going to take that draft deck and evolve it into a very budget-friendly, very accessible deck for your constructed play. But before we get into all that, I'm sure you know that the 5-year Foundation set in Standard is going to change a lot of things, not just in Standard, but in particular for budget and free-to-play players. What you may not know is you can make a big impact around here by making a funding choice through our Patreon. Whether you're just helping keep the lights on every month, or you're making contributions towards specific content or hardware upgrades, just know all the Patreon funding goes back into the community. Now, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, right. Alright, pack one, pick one. Elvish Archdruid seems very strong here. I do think we will pick that up. Elves seems like a pretty viable subset. Maybe we'll get lucky and get the Beastkin Ranger on the wheel. What do we want here? Maybe an Elfsworn Giant. Mischievous Mystic is probably the hot pick here, and I can't really fault that. But yeah, I think we're going to pick up the Elfsworn Giant here, because our Commando isn't really enough to pull me into white yet. We haven't seen much white, really. Preposterous Proportions, Dwelling's Elite, or Elvish Regrower. I actually think Elvish Regrower is one of the better uncommons in the set, and it's an elf to boot, so we will do that. Dwelling's Elite would be nice on the wheel, but we'll see. Wow, Felling Blow or Llanowar. I think I gotta go Llanowar Elf, as much as I like Felling Blow. Let's see here. Is Ambush Wolf better than the Needle Tooth? That's a tough call. I think the Ambush Wolf is where I want to be here. It's not an elf, but what are you gonna do, right? I mean, Dragon Trainer is a really strong card. It might be enough to pull me into red, depending upon what else we see. I think it was definitely stronger than the Snare Spinner. Dwelling. I mean, can we go wrong with that at this point? I don't think we can. If we happen to pick up some of those elves on the back pedal, that would be pretty nice. I'm going to take Preposterous Proportions on the wheel. I don't think I'm going to play it, but wow, there's Beastkin Ranger making an appearance at the 3-drop slot. That's pretty strong. Kind of an unexpected thing on the wheel that I had hoped for, but really did not expect. I mean, I guess I gotta go Needletooth here. Do we get Dwelling's Elite? I think that's where this would be. We did, and a second Preposterous Proportions, but I think I gotta take the Elite here. It's just too good of a card. Here I'm going to take Divine Resilience. And, I mean, yeah, we'll take Paladin. It's a much better card. And we get a Snare Spinner. Why not? Snakeskin Veil's pretty decent. Let's see here. We already have a copy on that. I'm not terribly excited about it. I think maybe Fellowar Savior is the card I'm most interested in here. Maybe we get enough white for it to matter. Leyline Axe is pretty awesome. I think we'll take that. Then we pull off Genesis Wave in Limited. That is a question to ask. I also like Evolving Wilds here. You know what? I'm going to take the Genesis Wave just because we are so strong in mono green. And we'll take the Barricade. Maybe we end up playing white. Dragon Trainer is feeling kind of all alone at the moment. Another Elite, another Elfsworn Giant. I think we take the Dwelling's Elite. It's just a little bit better for us. 2 bodies. Another Dwelling's Elite. Sure, we'll go all elves. Why not? It's a little bit absurd, but it could happen. Let's see here. What do we... I guess the Prowler is the correct play, right? He's not an elf. But we can't hold that against him, right? Is Twin Blade worth... Well, I mean, it's double white. I don't really want to splash something that's double white. I guess we just go ambush Wolf there. And I mean, mono green is looking pretty strong at the moment. Think we take the Veil? Well, I don't love Broken Wings, so I think we're going to take Authority, not planning on playing it. Another Snakeskin? I mean, it seems pretty good. I think we're okay on creatures. Yeah, we're at like 14 right now. That's not terrible. Wow, do I take a Banner here over a Giant Growth? I think we do. Elsworn Giant is a late pick, and well, Gleaming Barrier might even be playable. Dwelling's Elite or Rise of the Dark Realms. Do we rare draft here? You know, I'm not going to rare draft. I think Living the Dream with Elves is content worthy enough. Blanchwood Armor seems surprisingly good here. Bushwhack could also be really strong. You know what? I think we're going to try the Armor. I know technically that is probably a lesser pick, but given the fact that we're probably going mono green here, I think we probably still need to cut Genesis Wave. Bite Down seems really good. I like the Animus, but I don't think I want to splash in for it. We could just take it as a rare. I guess we'll take the Bite Down. Removal tends to be good. And speaking of, Felling Blow seems pretty strong here. We make that Genesis Wave cut. Gleaming Barrier feels like something that probably gets cut here very shortly. Wow, I think another Ambush Wolf. Do we care about the Librarian? I think we just take the Animist as a splash. And maybe we do end up playing... wow, Llanowar Elf. Thank you. How is that here at pick 7? That's crazy. I think Bite Down again? Like, I'm going to have a hard time deciding what to cut here, to be real honest. Another Banner? Like, going to 16 lands? And... Bushwhack? I will take the Ceratops. Wow, I can't believe we actually went mono green here. Giant Growth. Thanks. Needle Pack. Okay, this is not getting played, let's be honest. I mean, good heavens, what more could we have asked for, honestly? I think we can cut a land, to be honest. Do we want a 12-8 vanilla? Probably not. We probably cut Blanchwood Armor. It's just not as strong as we really want it to be. I think we have to keep the Spinner to have an answer for flyers. I think we drop the Cackling Prowler. Golly, like, we need 4 more cuts. Okay, there's 2. We'll drop those. Like, if I knew I was going to have Llanowar Elves in my opening hand, I'd cut another land. There's 16 creatures, 5 instants, 2 sorceries. So what are my 2 sorceries? So Felling Blow is one of them. Oh, and Bushwhack. So if we keep Bushwhack, I don't know about Giant Growth. Okay, I'm going to do something a little crazy and cut an Ambush Wolf. And a banner. I mean, this almost feels like a constructed deck. So there you have it, guys. That was the draft and deck construction, somewhat edited to bring down the time on that. Believe it or not, that segment was originally 20 minutes. I am going to forego showing the actual playthrough in this video and instead focus on the evolution of moving from a draft limited deck into something that's more constructed friendly. But of course, if you do want to see that exciting 7-2 finish there, it is available on my Twitch for the 7 days from after I shot it. And from there, it will be available on my Patreon, so be sure to check it out. Links available in the description. So when it comes to mono green elves, before we even talk about the proceeds available from your limited play via drafting or jump in, we really need to talk about the starter collection here, because right off the bat, they've given you half of an elves deck just day one. Judging from Bushwhack and Felling Blow, everything else in here is elves, including 3 copies of Land of War elves, 4 Druid of the Cowl, 2 Thornwood Archers, a Wildborn Preserver even, 2 Beastkin Rangers, and a pair of Elf-Sworn Giants. And of course, all we really need for a mana base here is Forests, although when we get towards the end, we'll talk about some potential upgrades there. The jump-in deck is almost an instant elf deck. Once you add in things like your Elvish Archdruid, your Gilt Leaf, your Elites, your Reclamation Sages, more Beastkin Rangers and Elf-Sworn Giants, and let's not forget Thorn-Wheeled Archer, I believe number 3 here, as well as those key spells like Felling Blow, Bite Down, and Snakeskin Veil. And once you've added in those jump-in resources, you end up with something like this, which is just 6 cards away from being constructed ready. And we really haven't invested much at all at this point. Not to mention that we've got 22 creatures in the deck, 19 of which are already elves. And we've got 4 instants and sorceries to help clear the path for that army. And those remaining 6 slots could easily be filled with just generically good higher rarity cards also from your starter set, like Doubling Season, Loot, Rampaging Baloth, Scavenger Ooze, Spinner of Souls, Quilled Great Worm, just to name a few. And of course, there's plenty of good lower rarity things if you happen to have any favorites or if you find a particularly good synergy. Or you can pick up just a couple cards through draft, and it doesn't even have to be a focused elf draft. Picking up 4 copies of the Elite is not really all that difficult. An Imperious Perfect as an uncommon lord will go a long way to improve your deck's performance and punching ability. And of course, Elvish Regrower is not only a 4/3 elf for 4 in its own right, but will assist you in returning key pieces from the graveyard back to your hand. And lastly, we can talk about the mana base here, going just 19 Forest, Cavern of Souls, so your key elves can not be countered. Evolving Wilds and Fabled Passage. Obviously, we don't really need mana fixing here, but these both thin your deck out nicely, as well as give a nicer boost to something like Elf-Sworn Giant in the late game. And you'd be surprised just how powerful 1 extra token can be in a deck like this. If you find that you are an elf or 2 short in your build, absolutely consider either a patchwork and or heraldic banner. Of course, this would want to be set to elves or green respectively. Will give you a little boost with your creature base and your attack potential, as well as helping to ramp out some additional mana sources. Once you've built a deck like this, if you find that you enjoy it and you're hitting that magical 55% win rate off of a version 1 deck, it might be time to start considering some wildcard upgrades for the deck. Obviously, choices like Elvish Archdruid are kind of a no-brainer. This is a non-legendary creature, so having 4 of them in the deck just increases the odds of getting at least one of them down. In a similar Lord-style effect, you might want to consider Banner of Kinship. You do have one of these in your Foundations preview decks, and, well, it might be just the trick for a Wrath-heavy meta. Although most Wraths having a casting cost of 4, Banner of Kinship's 5 cost could be awkward, but don't forget, a lot of elves make mana. And getting that Banner of Kinship down before the Wrath comes down means even a top deck Land of War elf could come down as like a 5/5 threat pretty easily. Now, what I find that I really want in a deck like this that's going wide is some sort of trample or overrun effect. And certainly, if it's still available in Standard, Tyvar the Pummeler, 3 mana, 3/3 elf warrior that can make himself indestructible and give all of your creatures +X until end of turn, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control, is an excellent choice. However, it is a mythic, it is a legendary, so going lighter on these is certainly within reason. Also, if Tyvar is simply not in the cards for you or not in the budget, there is no harm in supplementing with 2 or 3 copies of just a classic overrun effect. So there it is, guys. That's my thoughts on a super budget-friendly and very accessible mono green elves deck. But now is when I want to hear from you, and I give you that little poke to get down in the comments. Let me know what you think, what is working for you, or what isn't. And before we go, while every member of this community is important to me, I just wanted to take a moment and give a shout out to those patrons providing financial support and keeping the Stronghold from being a complete financial black hole. And of course, let me leave you with some suggestions for your next step here on the channel.